Hello, this is Rohan, and today we're going to be talking about kind of important announcer sorts. I believe it's actually a leak, but that'll be the Persona 3 Remake Reloaded. I want to talk about that today. I was actually going to test some game footage first time. Nah, I'm going to take my Toyota Celica for a drive, so let's go. So anyway, let's talk about it. So yeah, I believe a trailer was leaked for this remake, as well as the Persona 5 spin-off as well that we're also going to be getting. Both are confirmed to be on Xbox consoles, but I do suspect that later down the year we're going to see announcements for the other consoles too, because the main reason why is because the release of the consoles did pretty good, I'm pretty sure, like Persona 4 and Persona 5, so yeah. So let's talk about the trailer itself. Now, the first thing that immediately came to mind was how similar the game looked to Persona 5, actually. It definitely looks like it's using a similar engine, which I'm okay with, to be honest. It's because, yeah, Persona 5 is, very successful, and it's a good basis, too, for our Persona games, because, it still looks pretty good even to this day, and still runs pretty good as well. There's not much problem with basing it on Persona 5 in my opinion. Although yeah, the next mainline game might do things a little bit differently, but I guess we'll find out when that happens. It might use a completely different game engine, but yeah, that's still like a long time down the road. I guess we could talk about that later, but anyway. So, let's talk about... So yeah, that was the first impression. Other than that, the game does look really nice. But let's talk about some changes that could be made as well. As well as like what will be carried over from either FES or Portable, or even both. Let's talk about the social sim aspect. So first off, social links. So from the trailer, it does seem like there's a big focus on the male protagonist, which probably means it's going to be the only route. And that could be backed up by the fact that Portable got a re-release. So then with that re-release, you don't really need to put in the fantasy if you have that already, so yeah. So that could be the case. That could be the case that, they don't want to put in the fantasy because of that. We'll think about the answer later as well, but yeah. That means that, the male social link should be the main focus. I didn't like them. From what I can tell of them, I don't like them as much as the female ones. I guess I should mention why it looks like we'll have the male social links. You did see Kenji as a social link in the trailer, so that does mean that he'll at least be the magician social link most likely. So yeah. Unfortunately, that means Junpei won't be, which that was one of my favorite social links on the fantasy side. So yeah. Oh well. It does make me wonder if it's the fantasy characters. They could make cameos, but I think that's really it. Unless the fantasy is a thing, which again, I have my doubts, but we'll think about that later. Now, another thing I've heard that could happen with these social links is that they could get abilities just like in Persona 5. That was a great feature that basically gives you even more reason to max out the social links, because before in Persona 3 and 4, all you really get is the Arcana burst that allows you to level up the Persona more easily, which is very useful. But yeah, the other abilities in Persona 5 definitely made a big difference on who you want to max out first. Like, Temperance, for example, had the best ability, so people go to Temperance first. I wonder what it would be like in Persona, in the Persona 3 remake. Because, it does look like they're also adding some new features. A commenter, a good friend of mine also mentioned something about kitchen too, like you can do some cooking. One of the social links might help you with that, probably the priestess one, which sounds kind of funny in retrospect, but yeah. Because that person's bad at cooking, but anyway. That is definitely a possibility that we could see as well. What else in the daily life? So another thing too, I'm wondering too, is will they make the social links easier to raise? because yeah, Persona 5 made them pretty painless. The only things you worry about is getting the social stats, and yeah, that's another interesting thing too. That I think they're gonna keep. Persona 3 only had 3 social stats compared to Persona 4 and 5 having 5, I do believe. So yeah, I guess yeah, we might only need to worry about 3, but if you add 2 more, then yeah, that could be interesting. But yeah, again, I don't think they're gonna do that. I think they're gonna keep things pretty faithful, in that regard. So yeah. What else then? About daily life stuff. That I can think about. So yeah, we talked about that. More social stuff actually as well. So first off, another thing that came to mind with the social too is the romance. So this is the male protagonist I think about, and that also reminds me of Fess. In Fess, you can only if you get high enough rank with a female character, you automatically romance them. So yeah, or romance Osha should be saying. So I do wonder if they're going to add platonic routes. I think they're importable on the female side at least, but I don't know about the male side. Because again, I've only played the female side. So yeah, I do wonder about that. Will they add more platonic routes? Because yeah, I would like that because the platonic routes are really good generally. So yeah, in like most Persona games, and yeah, I feel like Persona 3 could benefit from it. Kind of. It'll definitely make the story. I don't know. It definitely make me like the main character a little bit more if you know they didn't cheat on everyone. But yeah, it is what it is in Fest. But yeah, I think that's like mostly everything I want to talk about the social links actually. So yeah, nothing else is really coming to mind in the main like other changes too. I think just relate to topics I already talked about. Like yeah, I think the activities are going to be similar as well, especially if they keep the same social stats, same free social stats to be saying. So yeah. And actually no, one more thing, side quests. I think the side quests are going to be very similar. I would like to see some more interesting ones in Taurus, but I guess we'll talk about that later. But yeah, the ones in the daylight, they weren't bad to be honest. They were pretty alright. And not too complicated, I guess. There was some that I did need to look up, I remember, but yeah, they weren't too bad. But yeah, they could like maybe add some more clarity to some of them as well. And yeah, I do think that yeah, the deadlines and stuff, they'll still be a thing as well. Maybe I'll get more rewards for completing more side quests as well, that'll be interesting. But yeah, I don't think they're going to touch the side quest too much. But yeah, let's go into the gameplay now, the battle system. So, Persona 3 invented the one more system that is a mainstay in the Persona series now. Basically, you hit enemy's weakness, so you get one more turn. It was a little bit different compared to Fess and Portable. In Portable, it worked more like Persona 4, and in Fess it worked like its own thing, where I think you needed to knock down every enemy in the battle to get a 1 more, or something like that. Which definitely did change a few things. And again, yeah, thinking about it, yeah, they're probably going to use what Portable did and make it so you get 1 more for, I mean, I think that was even shown in the trailer as well. Getting a 1 more for not knocking down all the enemies, so yeah. So that's probably it. Because again, yeah, Portable did make some changes to the gameplay, which yeah, I'm probably going to be seeing in the remake, because they were nice like quality of life changes. Next up in the battle system too is control of the party members. So in the original Fest, the party members are always AI control, but in Portable, you didn't have to. You didn't have them to be AI controlled. You could control them yourself. I do wonder if that does make you wonder. Will we still have that option? I do wonder. I do like having the choice, to be honest. I think that was pretty good. Although yeah, for what I remember, I watched a video about Persona 4, and it's AI control party members, and there was not much you could do with them. They were pretty bad, to be honest. The game was definitely designed around having them AI or player control. But yeah, Persona 3 was definitely designed more around AI control party members, so if you do control them, the game does become a little bit easier, so I do wonder what they will do. Again, I would like to see the choice, to be honest, so yeah. So yeah, just have both, like Portable Dead is what I would do there. Next thing I guess you could talk about is party members. I wonder if they'll get more updated movesets. I think the skill set might be similar to Persona 3. They kind of have to because what am I trying to say? Persona 3, I think they're gonna have a similar skill set to the original because Persona 3 was very different in regards to Persona 5 because it had 3 physical elements: slash, strike, and pierce. So I think that's how we're gonna see similar skills. Like, I would like to see Primal Force come back, for example, as like the strongest pierce skill, for example. So yeah, stuff like that. It does make me wonder if we'll see like other unique Persona skills make a return too, like Prelaya. That'll be very nice as well. So yeah, that's another thing I'm thinking about too. What else? With the battle system and stuff. But yeah, let's talk about the party members themselves. So yeah, one thing that I was a little bit weirded about was some of the party member movesets. They felt kind of like lackluster, I guess you could say. Like, for example, Yukari. Yukari doesn't get Salvation or Amrita at all for a healing ability, so I wonder if they'll update that so that she gets a bit more. They could also give them more powerful, they could also get the casters more powerful magical skills in their repertoire as well, like the severe versions of the skills, like maybe she gets Pompery or something, but we'll see. I think what they'll just do is maybe update the movesets a little bit, maybe make them a little bit more powerful than the original incarnations. Maybe they will allow us to choose what they learn. I didn't mind the fact that they went with a standard moveset because yeah, they generally get the best skills for that arsenal. But yeah, you do miss out on boosted and amp on everyone, but oh well. It wasn't like a big deal breaker, but yeah. I don't know, we'll see. Having the option to choose would give more player freedom, I guess, so it'd probably be better in that regard, but yeah. Again, that's another thing to think about. In regards to the party members and the battling and stuff. So yeah, that's what comes to mind. Now let's talk about Fusion. Fusion in all Persona 3 versions, it's always random fusion, so basically the persona chooses the skills it gets on its own based on its inheritance type. I was fine with it, but yeah, being able to choose yourself would save a lot of time and also make it so that making the ideal moveset doesn't require as much work. So yeah, again, if they changed that, that'd be cool. And also make the game more like Persona 5 as well, which I could definitely see them doing because of that, so yeah. Again, we'll see about that. It'll be interesting. If they do decide to add the manual skill heads, I wonder if they'll also raise the difficulty a little bit. That's another thing I guess we could talk about next. Yeah, the difficulty. I believe Portable added some new difficulty options, some of them even harder than the hard mode and fast, I do believe, so yeah, maybe they'll keep those around as well. We'll see. The interesting thing though is how different the difficulty was compared to Persona 3 and Persona 5. I found Persona 3 a little bit more difficult than Persona 5. Of course, Persona 5 had some ways to very easily break the game, like special treatment. In Royal, there was Mementos. You could change it to get more XP, for example. That really broke the game as well. But yeah, I do wonder how portable will deal. Will it be a little bit easier than original? I could see it, especially if they add a lot more new tools to the player, um, to make the life a little bit easier. So yeah, that's another thing we could see as well. And that's another thing we could see in the remake that could be interesting. Um, what else? That's one thing I'm very curious about. I do wonder how difficult it'll be compared to the original. Because again, on normal mode I found the difficulty just right. It was a good balance. So I do wonder if it'll be easier or harder, for example. On normal mode, maybe the harder difficulties will be extreme challenge. Like Persona 5 was definitely quite difficult on hard mode, especially near the beginning, and especially if you don't use the EXP or special treatment too much, then it gets a pretty interesting experience. Because yeah, the enemies are actually can be quite brutal in that regard. So yeah, again, that's another thing I'm very curious about when it comes to the gameplay of Persona 3 Reloaded. But anyway, let's talk about another thing to do with fusion that I forgot about, fusion spells. So yeah, and first, how it worked was that you need to have 2 personas in your party, 2 compatible personas to do the fusion spell. And then what happens is that you have to spend a certain amount of a percentage of your MP, and then you can unleash a powerful attack. Like for example, the first fusion spell that most people come across is Orpheus and Apsaras, that is Condenser. It gives a supercharger and 50% health recovery. And yeah, that's actually really useful. Something I probably should have used in Portable, although in Portable it is a little bit different. Instead, you don't even need to have both personas in the party. Instead, you have these fusion spells. Or items, I should be saying. Yeah, you basically get limited items of the fusion attacks. You can make them in the weapon fusion shop, which should still be a thing as well. Because there's a really cool way to make use of all the personas in your arsenal. Making use of, use of the fusion stuff. It's kind of similar to the electric chair in Persona 5. So yeah, again, that's something I feel like they're going to keep as well. But yeah, I do wonder how they'll tackle it, because yeah, of course, Fast and Portable did things very differently. So yeah, it will definitely depend. Personally, I don't mind which way they go. I think Fast, how it did, was cooler. And maybe a little bit more strategic as well. Like, you needed to think about what, you really needed to think about what, personas you're bringing to battle, not just, like, the strongest ones. Because, yeah, you might be able to get some really nice effects if you have, you might be able to get some really useful effects by sticking out with maybe some weak personas. Like, I know that Decarapia and Fornius, that's the only way you can get a full buff, basically. A heat riser, basically. So yeah, that's really interesting to think about. And I do wonder if, they'll keep it like in Fest or make it like Portable with the fusion items. That's another thing I'm also very curious about when it comes to the remake. Alright, let's talk about Tartarus now. I think it's time to do that. So Tartarus, it was a randomly generated dungeon at Persona 3. Persona 5 decided to do away with randomly generated dungeons, and that is making me very curious. I do wonder if Tartarus will still be a randomly generated dungeon or not. Maybe each section will be like its own mini palace or something like that. That would be really cool. It definitely fleshed out Tartarus quite a bit as well. But yeah, it does depend on how much it depends on how faithful they want to be when it comes to Tartarus, so yeah. Because yeah, there was also a lore reason why Tartarus is randomly generated, I'm pretty sure as well, so they might just keep that as well. So yeah, we'll see about that, because yeah, I feel like, yeah, if it isn't randomly generated, I feel like it'll be more engaging for more people, so yeah, that might be better for gameplay as well. Again, that's something I'm very curious about, to see how they all change, basically, so yeah. So yeah, what else? About Taurus. That also made me think too about the full moon shadows. If they do decide to flesh out Taurus more, they may flesh out those as well, because yeah, those are basically like mini dungeons. Especially the one where you fought the Hierophant and the Mother Shadow. That one was definitely a mini dungeon with its own little puzzles. So yeah, I do wonder if they'll get more fleshed out, will Taurus get more fleshed out and become not a randomly generated dungeon? That's gonna be very interesting. They could add like a grindy area like what Persona 1 had actually, funny enough. That could also be a randomly generated place. Where you could grind and fight the lower level enemies. That could be interesting. But yeah, I feel like that would be too complicated, so yeah, I think they're just going to... Again, this depends on how faithful they want to be with this remake. They don't have to be too faithful because they have the re-release of Persona 3 Portable, so yeah. Then they can go all out if they so wish, so yeah. That's another very interesting thing to think about when it comes to this remake, so yeah. Again, I'm very curious about that. So yeah, that's Taurus. Now let's go into the plot. I don't really want them to change the plot too much, because the thing about Persona 3's plot is it's aged very, very well. And that was one reason why I felt like the game didn't need to be remade, but hey, if they do remake it, that's a chance for them to improve the gameplay and make it more like modern Persona in how like beginner friendly it is. But anyway, even though yeah, like I said, Persona 3 Portable is decently beginner friendly even for me, so yeah. Again, that's something else I'm very curious about. So yeah, the story, like I said, I wouldn't want to change too much of it because again, it was really good. It's a story that still holds up extremely well even to this day. So yeah, because of the subjects it tackles and all that jazz. So yeah, once again, it's an amazing plot. Once again, it's an amazing plot. So yeah, I can't wait to see them. I don't know. Like, yeah, what could they change? Like, the presentation would be better, obviously. And then that could make the story more impactful, but yeah. It was already pretty impactful, even on mid-portable, but yeah, seeing it all, like, with modern graphics and stuff, yeah, that's gonna be probably the main set. But again, I don't want them to change too much, because otherwise, yeah, I feel like they'd be taking away from what made the original so good, so yeah. But again, we'll see what they do. With Portable, so yeah. Not Portable, Reloaded. So yeah, I think that's mostly everything I wanted to talk about in regards. Because yeah, I'm trying to think, what else they could add. I guess I could also talk about the Persona list. They could definitely add more Personas, because yeah, the re-releases added more Personas. Like, first add some fan favorites according to the game itself, and then Portable added a few new ones too. I remember like Tamlin, for example. So yeah, Preloaded definitely could add some new Personas. I don't think it will change any of the ultimate Personas, but it would be very interesting if they did. Because yeah, I feel like I think all the ultimates really needed was to be a little bit stronger, because some of them just felt kind of weird. Like Skahar, for example. Skahar kind of, what's the right word? It wasn't helped by the fact that its inheritance type really didn't match with what it learned, basically, for example. So yeah, I wonder if they'll, like, buff some of them. I can definitely see that happening. Like, for example, in Royal, because of traits, a lot of them got buffed. So yeah, that's definitely something I could see happening in Portable, not Portable, Reload. To make the ultimates more interesting for you, so yeah. Give you more incentive to chase something so. Oh yeah, that reminds me too. Traits as well. Could they make a return as well from? Could they make a return from Royal as well? Because it was a really cool feature, so yeah. Again, it would be very cool to see them, take more interesting stuff from Royal. That made the gameplay more interesting. So that also reminds me too, maybe Baton Pass as well. I don't think they'll add the Tom Pass because that was something that made Persona 5 unique, but it does help the battle system because yeah, it keeps the flow of the battle going quicker. It's a great way to save SP and stuff, so yeah, I quite liked it. So again, that's something interesting to think about as well. What else is that I need to say? I guess another thing too is the characters themselves. I do wonder if we'll see some recasts. I think most of the voice actors are fine, but then again, for like the original Persona 3 was a very long time ago, so I do wonder if, you know, we might see some different voice actors because I don't know, just because it has been so long. I think most of the cast might get recast, but that is something I'm very interested to see. And I guess that also reminds me to the music too. Yeah, of course it's gonna be remixed, obviously, but yeah. I did like the original soundtrack, so I can't wait to hear the remixes, basically, is why I gotta say that. Although, yeah, a lot of the new tracks are pullable are some of my favorites, to be honest, so yeah, if they could sneak those in, that'd be amazing too. Unless, yeah, they do have the fancy, which I have my doubts, but yeah. And that also reminds me too, we'll talk a little bit about the answer now as well. I don't think it'll be a thing, just because, yeah, from what I've heard, and if you remember my April Fool's video, I remember it being said to be very decisive, so it's something that either people really like or really don't like. So yeah, I wonder, because it is basically another game, I don't think it will be a thing, but it would be cool to see it be a thing. Maybe if it's better written, question mark, it will become less decisive, but then again, I feel like the writing wasn't the issue. It might be the story itself, which then, yeah, that will require a big rewrite, so yeah. Again, that's something else that's kind of interesting to think about as well. When it comes to, you know, Persona 3 Reloaded. But yeah, another thing too I'm thinking about too is DLC potentially. Yeah, they could add like the answer, maybe the FMC as DLC. That is something very likely considering that, you know, Atlas really loves DLC. Day 1 DLC especially, but yeah. Again, I wouldn't be the biggest fan if they did something like that. But yeah, it's just the way they do things nowadays, so yeah, I don't think you're going to be changing it that much. So yeah. Again, it's like something that, you know, I'm a little bit on the fence about, but yeah, we'll see what they do about the DLC. With Reloaded. And I want to think about the future as well of the series as well while we're here as well. So the thing about another thing I'm very curious about too is the next main Persona in Persona 6. So I think first on two is the fact that Persona 3 Reloaded is the first remake for the Persona series, because Persona 1 and 2 were more like re-releases rather than remakes, even though they were on new consoles, because the games played very similarly to the originals. They're basically just slightly updated versions for the PSP. So yeah, I do wonder if, you know, we'll see. Again, that's another reason why, yeah, this remake could be quite big. Are they willing to make some, like, really, big changes and stuff to this remake to make it more distinct? That's another thing I'm very interested about. But yeah, now I want to think about the future of the series. And yeah, my tires are really good. So, but yeah, now I want to think about the future of the series too. So yeah, we saw that, you know, we have this, we have a Persona 5 spin-off, but I do wonder when we'll get Persona 6. Because yeah, it's been a very long time since Persona 5 had its first release, so yeah. I do wonder if we're going to, you know, see, I do wonder when we're actually going to see, you know, Persona 6. I do suspect that it's going to probably be a next-gen game. Like, yeah, maybe PS5 only, for example. Well, not PS5 only, like, basically next-gen only. we'll see about that. I do think it's gonna be quite the it's probably gonna be one of those games that's gonna make me, you know, jump ship and buy a new console, but we'll see. Yes, again, I am kind of hyped to see what they'll do with the next Persona, because here, Persona 5, of course, now the series is well and truly on the map. Persona 4 was like putting them on the map, and then Persona 5 well and truly did. So yeah, again, it's gonna be very interesting to see what the future of the series will do. But yeah, this remake though, it is interesting that they decide to do this now, I guess. I guess it is. Again, Persona 3 is a very beloved game in this series, and yeah, another thing about it too is that it didn't really have the most definitive release, because Portable did cut some things to be put onto the little handheld, and yeah, Fast didn't have some things that Portable had, so yeah, having a definitive release like this potentially could be very nice. Although yeah, if it doesn't have the answer or the film scene, then there could be some issues with that, but yeah, something at least a bit more definitive than Fest and Oval will be great to see. So yeah, that's another thing I'm kind of excited about with this remake. So yeah, yeah, there's definitely a lot to think about, isn't there? With this remake. But yeah, I basically talked about basically everything, I think. I don't think there is much more that I can add, unless, you know, comments on me out as well. I guess, yeah, one more final thing. I think I said final thing like 100 times at this point, but anyway. Of course, I did play Persona 3 Portable earlier in the year. Again, one of my favorite playthroughs so far on the channel, because yeah, I learned so much about it. I do want to get into Persona 2 at some point, so my brother really wants me to, because he wants to play it himself. So yeah, who knows. I kind of want to do it next, but the problem is that again, I'm a bit nervous, because I feel like it's going to be a game that's going to be hard to commentate on, because it will be my first time playing it again. It is a game I'm probably going to be looking up a guide for as well. It is definitely a game I'm less familiar with compared to, like, I guess that's the big thing about Persona 2, is that it's not like Persona 1, and it's not like Persona 3 even, so it's like, yeah, it's definitely its own beast, so that's why I'm still a little bit hesitant about playing it, but we'll see. Pokemon Platinum is something I'm thinking about next as well. That is the, yeah, I think I should head back, because my tires are very dead. But anyway, let's see what I unlocked. So I got 2 Mitsubishis, I think, the Lancer Evo 5, and the GTO. Alright. And I got Brake level 2. So yeah, anyway, let me just see those brakes, and then we'll keep talking. Let's see. They actually add more weight, so yeah, maybe I'll wait on them. But anyway, so yeah, I think, yeah, that's all I really want to talk about now, because yeah, that was a long night, a very productive night on my part in the game, so yeah. So yeah, so that was the talk about the Persona 3 remake. Yeah, like I said, I'm quite excited. Will I get it? I'm not so sure. It's early 2024, so another game I want to get around that time is Trails of Zero, because yeah, I'm kind of hyped now because of the end of Persona, not Persona, Trails of Cold Steel 2. Because yeah, I have been the final boss at this point, but there's still a little bit to go in that game, because you know, that's just how Cold Steel likes to do things, I guess, but yeah. Yeah, that's gonna be probably one of the biggest games I'm gonna be getting at the end of this year, so yeah, we'll see. I would like to check out the remake if it's, like I said, really, really good. I would definitely like to, and then we'll talk about it next year, I guess. So yeah, that is all I gotta say. I'll return to my regularly scheduled every talk content in the next part, so yeah, look forward to that, and yeah, I hope you found this discussion about the Persona 3 remake really good. It took me a long time to make this video though, and very stressful as well. I had lots of different outtakes. Basically, this is like my third attempt to try and record it. I even tried to test a new game footage, but I wasn't like super impressed with it as well, so yeah. I was actually trying to say my GBA in a minute, but I think it still needs some fine tweaking before I can, show it to you guys, so yeah. So I'm gonna wait on that. Maybe by the end of every 12 I'll show what I've able to tweak, so yeah. I guess while I'm here I can look at my rival list. So I need to defeat one more Windstar before the team leader. And then Highway Outlaw still has a pretty decent amount left. And these guys are on the other side. And then Wanderers, they're going well. I think I can fight White Tiger today, so I'll do that. I think Caffeine Extreme needs a car with 3 in its chest E-code. Yeah, I'm just thinking about a lot of things. And then Wild Shots on Sunday. And then I can fight them, that's day 30. I can fight them whenever I want, so yeah. See, that's that. Just wanted to check a few things there. But yeah, like I said, next up will be FE12. More of that. I can't wait to show the main game. It's gonna be really fun. So yeah, look forward to that. And yeah, I will definitely be signing off now. So yeah, look forward to all that, and I'll see you guys again for